it's Mary. Welcome back to Live Well. If this is your first time checking us out, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell and like and all the good stuff so that we don't miss seeing you in the next video. And if you're returning, thanks so much for coming back. So today I want to talk to you. It's probably going to be a short video, but I really want to share with you a moment I had this past weekend and how it kind of spiraled in thought through all of the things that I was thinking about and how I tied it into some of the things that we always do in the way of internal pressure. And so I want to share that story with you today. This past weekend I was out for a run. And I've been trying to get in about 3 miles on a run each time. My knee's been bugging me, but neither here nor there. Anyway, I'm on this run and I started, I had my Nike Run Club app and I got that going and I have my watch on and earbuds in and I'm just like ready to go. And I start the running and about, I would say, 4 or 5 minutes in, I was like, let me see where I'm at because my half-mile marker didn't go off. So I look at my phone and I noticed that as a couple minutes went by, my mile marker kicked in and it said like I was probably somewhere upwards of like 2.5 minutes slower than what I should have been, right? So there was an obvious glitch between the reality of what I was running and the app that I was using, right? So obvious glitch. Okay, so on one hand, I'm like, oh, well, that stinks, whatever, okay, just keep going. On the other hand, I was really annoyed because I had then shifted my mindset into, well, that's not how fast I'm running and I'm not going to get the credit for it. And it's going to be, off and it's going to be miscalculated. And then I'm going to have are you going with me here on this spiral? I spiraled down into this thought pattern because of an app, right? So I'm like, then I kind of took a step back and I started to think about this a little bit differently. And I started to ask myself some questions. Okay, because the app did not calculate correctly, does that mean that my body is still not getting a good workout? No, obviously not. My body is still moving. But I know I have teammates out there that go for a long walk and then look down at their wrist and realize they don't have their speedometer, whatever it's called, your tripometer, whatever, to count your steps. And it's like, man, I didn't get credit for that, right? So that's kind of where I was. But in all reality, does my body workout suffer from it being miscalculated? No, it does not, right? But what I found myself doing throughout this process was trying to make up for that time, right? So I was on my run and I'm trying to run the next half mile fast, really fast, so that I could get that calculation to meet up, at least meet up where my good pace would have been. Right, so now I'm on this run and I'm doing sprints that I hadn't planned on doing sprints for, and I'm going and I'm going. I'm trying to bring this down, and I kind of burnt out. And so about that next half mile, I had to walk. So then I had to walk for about 2 minutes or so, and then I got back in and I started jogging again. And then my trip thing told me, well, you're at this marker and this is your time, and it wasn't where I wanted it to be. Okay, so then I got to thinking, how many times do we allow external opinions or pressure get to us when we are on a goal, right? I started thinking about that because so often there's been things that have been placed upon me, expectations that have been levied upon me that I then internalize and take on, and I say, I must do. I have to do this. I need to have this read a certain way, right? And that was all self-induced. And I've done it my entire career where I saw this sort of measurement it was an elusive measurement of how it could identify where I was in the progress of my life. And I needed to reach that. That was the thing. Go, go, go. Along the way, I still would have been personally developing and learning my trade and doing all of that, but I had to do it at that pace, right? That was the pace that defined whether or not I was going to be able to look down on paper or at my app, as it were, and say, you hit the mark. Not realizing that I was getting all of those things for myself regardless, if it was on paper or if it was seen by someone superior to me. I was still making the progress, but I put this pressure from the external source onto me, and it burned me out. And that's where, when I was trying to catch up in life, in career, I'm trying to catch up and go, I just burn out. And then what do I have to do? Then I rightfully, and we all should do this on occasion, right, when we need it, but I had to stop, and in the metaphor of my run, I was walking, I had to stop and I had to slow down and I had to take a breath and I had to figure out what it was that I was doing. The problem was, during my career, when I would slow down, quote unquote, it really was very temporary, and it was only to say that I did it. Yeah, I slowed down. I got a break. Yeah, I did some self-care. But I really wasn't doing that. I was just getting enough breath to get right back into it and grind and go. And it really was all because I had built up this expectation in my head. I'm not saying there aren't real extrinsic motivators, that there aren't really things out there that say these are, by this measurement, this is where you should be. Or if you want X goal, this is what you have to go do. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. Absolutely it exists. In fact, it was a very clear parameter that was set forth in order for me to chase what I was chasing, right? But in reflection, I look at that parameter and I say, that parameter is unrealistic. If I really want to keep a good, healthy balance in my life, then I'm not going to be able to allow those external factors, those external pressures, be put down onto me, and then I self-induce all of that anxiety. Like, that is the big difference. Yes, they exist, but you have a choice as to whether or not you will allow it to affect you. I think that is the biggest thing I've learned throughout all of the process that I've been going through over the last 2 years. All of the personal development, all of the time that I have invested in myself and in my growth, and most importantly, in my understanding of who I am. That is what I've determined. I understand now that there is a choice. And I was very, very grateful that I was able to understand that at the point in my career when I did. Because when I understood that I had choices, I no longer felt like I had to keep going and there was this never-ending tunnel with no light at the end. I stopped, I reflected, I did all the things that I've been sharing with you on this channel up to this point, and I realized that I can make my own decisions. So during my run that day, when I was trying to catch up to my pace and burning myself out, I stopped, I reflected, and I realized that physically my body was still getting the same exact workout had it been calibrated correctly, and I was still doing something positive for myself that day, and I chose to focus on that. And that is really what I wanted to share with you today, is take a step back, and if you need to, list out every single thing that you are doing in your life that's moving you towards your goal, that's allowing you to give back to yourself, to your family, you're doing something that's important to you. Write all that down. And when life seems to get a little bit too much, and it seems like there's just a little bit too much pressure, you need to really take a hard look at what you are self-inducing. And I'm not talking about taking on extra projects here and there. That is obvious. I'm talking about the internal dialogue that you are having with yourself, that you are putting pressure down upon yourself to hit X, Y, and Z markers. For what? What's the purpose? Is it necessary? Is it serving you? Is it allowing you to have peace, to have balance, to bring you to that goal where you can actually focus on all the wins? Make sure that that's the decision that you're making for yourself. So that's the message I wanted to share with you today. The fact that I have to uninstall and reinstall my app because I don't want to do that again. But if it does happen again, I am much better prepared now as I have walked myself down that pathway of realizing what's important and what's not. And to stop the silly dialogue in my head that had me spiral quite a bit. So I hope that was helpful for you. I'm not sure who needs to hear this today, but I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next video. Be well and live well. Bye-bye.